Hello everyone, a very good evening to all of you. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. I am Roohindeep Kaur and today we will be discussing few frequently asked questions in the interview of IIM IPMAT Indore and Rohtak, right? So what should be your approach to answer this question and why am I discussing this right now? Because you should be very positive about your preparation, right? And you should be preparing for your interview as well as when you're preparing for your entrance tests. So that is why we're going to discuss what are the frequently asked questions, so you have plenty of time. You can work on this, you can practice for this and have a great interview at IIM Rohtak and IPMAT Indore, which I mean is going to be possible if you clear your entrance test, right? And uske liye to hum tayari kar hi rahe hain. Fine. So let me start with a little bit information about our Dil Se Ambitious Flat 20% off on BYJU'S Exam Prep online classroom program sale, right? So this Dil Se Ambitious sale is going to give you flat 20% off on all our online classroom programs if you use the code ambition20, right? And having that being said, the personal interview at IPM, right? It is an integral part. They're going to make sure that they interview you, right? So the first step is obviously the entrance test. ठीक है, IPMAT इंदौर अपना एक एंट्रेंस टेस्ट कंडक्ट करता है, IPMAT रोहतक अलग से अपना एक टेस्ट कंडक्ट करता है. IPMAT रोहतक का नोटिफिकेशन आउट है गाइस, दैट मींस यू मस्ट बी प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर दैट. इफ यू आर राइट नाउ आप इस पर्टिकुलर वीडियो को देख रहे हैं, दैट मीन्स यू आर प्रीटी मच into the preparation. And if you have not yet started your preparation, that means it is high time. Right now is the time. Make sure that you start preparing for your entrance test, right? So personal interview after you clear your entrance test, it is something which is a next step towards your seat, at the IIM, whether it is Indore or Rohtak. So you're likely to be questioned about your academic related topics. Like you could be a student who is from commerce background, or you could be a student who is from science background or humanities background. So they want to know, if you are well versed with your academic front. So academic related topics or journal knowledge, that is something they are going to ask you about. So for those students who are telling me, मैम करंट अफेयर्स करने का क्या फायदा, आईपीमैट इंदौर और आईपीमैट रोहतक में तो पूछा ही नहीं जाता. तो बेटा आपके जो इंटरव्यूज हैं वहां पे दे वांट यू गाइस टू बी वेल वर्स्ड about your area, right? So your journal knowledge is going to be tested. Is there any way that I can get access to selected chapters? Krish, what you can do is you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. We are giving you practice questions, and at the same time, for QA, VA, LR, GA, we're giving you free sessions at BYJU'S Exam Prep app, right? So what you can do is you can refer to that. And if you want to know more about that particular information, just feel free to talk to our counselors on the number given below, right? I really hope that answers your query. Chalo, let's come back to IPMAT. Now, guys, journal knowledge is important. Okay, I'm going to discuss few questions which can be asked from journal knowledge as well. So therefore, it is very essential to do your background research about your field. Like if you are a student who's from science background, they can expect you to answer questions about physics. It's not like if you are going to IIM Indore, you're not going to learn about basic physics. You need to learn about coding, you need to learn about physics, you need to learn about chemistry, the basic chemistry. So if they're going to teach you all that, they want to know whether you were good enough, at whatever you were taught in your class 11th and 12th. So it is not just clearing the entrance test, it is also you being an all-rounder at whatever you have been taught earlier. Okay? Okay. And it will also help to fetch more marks over others if you know the recent developments of the corporate world and the industry. So if you're going for, BBA or integrated program at IIM, which includes MBA, it is going to be helpful if you have, an idea of whatever is happening around you, whatever new um, developments are there in the corporate world, if there are any mergers or acquisitions, or if there is something related to, whatever field you want to get into, because there might be a question about what are your future plans, and you might have a plan. So you should know about the background, you should have done your research. Okay, that is expected out of you at the personal interview in IIM Indore and Rohtak. So read through the post, that will give you a complete insight to the most asked questions, IIM IPM interview questions and answers. Take care. So make sure that you're going through it. So why am I asking you to do that? Because once you get to know what questions can be asked, that means you can prepare for them, right? Ma'am, can I mention the hobbies in the interview in the intro? That totally depends on you, Pranav. If your hobbies are, interesting and you're well versed about it, because if you're going to say, I love music, they're going to ask you which, I'm just giving an example, by the way. They can ask you which is your favorite singer. You might tell them which is the favorite singer. They might ask you what is your favorite genre. Okay, and from that genre you can be asked about which is, the leading person about that. So if you're going to go and tell about your hobby, you should be well versed about the background. So it's perfectly fine, it's you being you. Okay, if they ask you to introduce yourself, if you want to include, yes, go ahead, say that these are my hobbies, right? But it's perfectly fine if you introduce yourself in crisp and short words about yourself, right? So the hobbies, if they ask you, you can tell them. So rather not say anything, because these guys, they can wrap you around their little finger, right? For these questions. I'm a non-math student, so do they ask me question about? I wish they might ask you basic calculation questions. So if you clear IPMAT Indore or IIM Rohtak, that means you are clearing their entrance test, and that means your basic calculation is strong enough. Right, Ayush? So they can expect you to answer something like this. Like you might be sitting in a room and they can ask you, okay, if you were to fill this room with perfect cubicle boxes of 1 by 1 square meter, ठीक है? So कितने boxes आ जाएंगे? So that type of questions, you can go by guesstimates. Now these questions are called guesstimates. What are guesstimates? You do not know how many boxes will be there, but you can say, sir, if I might, this length of the room looks like itna meter, this breadth of the room looks like itna meter. So you might want to tell them how you are calculating. Even if your answer is wrong, they just want you to they want to check whether you were able to understand the question, and will you be able to reach to a conclusion if given proper dimensions, right? So that is one way to look at it. If you're a non-math student, if you're expecting a question on calculus or something like that, no. If they're allowing you to sit in the exam, being a non-math student, they know you're a non-math student, and they won't they're not there to tease you. That is not the part. They're there to test whether you're a good student or not. Okay. Um, Tell me about your in my way. Okay, Laksha, honestly, if someone asks me, I'll be super honest. If someone asks me, tell me about yourself, I do not like it. Right? But if imagine, now look at this scenario. If you're going to a university, you're going to IIM Indore or IIM Rohtak, you're going to these faculties who are going to teach you to become your best. So what would you want to tell them? Right? So if you are a student, okay, so you would say, okay, this is my name, okay, I'm this person. You might want to tell them few some information about your academic front. You might want to tell, जैसे प्रणव ने बोला कि मैम क्या मैं हॉबीज बोल दूं चलेगा? So if you're very well versed about it, go ahead, tell them about your hobbies. ठीक है? Just keep it short and crisp. You can tell them, I am so and so. ठीक है? I've done my 12th with this much percentage. ठीक है? In this particular stream. right now I aim to be this person. So that is also tell me something about yourself. That is one way of saying it. Some students take it as I'm so and so, this is my academic accomplishments, I love doing this, okay, and this is something I want to be, or I want to my dream colleges I am in, though you might want to go with that particular front. So it actually depends a lot on yourself, right? So if I was the person, if I was being I was in the interview, I'd just say my name, my academic background, okay, and that's it. Tell me something about yourself, okay, short and crisp. This is my goal, this is how I will go about it. I hope that answers your query, okay. But honestly, that depends on student to student. You could be a person who loves sports, who is very active in extra co-curricular activities, right? Extra curriculum activities. You might be that student. You might be someone who is simultaneously learning coding. You might want to emphasize on that. So emphasize on that. So that depends a lot on your perspective as well, right? Okay, so overview of IPM Indore, we are expecting them to give you 60 questions in 90 minutes. We are expecting, okay, so this is tentative because last year this was the way of asking question paper. 3 sections, 60 questions, 50 multiple choice questions, and 10 short answer type questions. So out of these 50 questions, there will be 20 questions from QA and 30 questions from verbal ability. Short answer type mein there will be only 10 questions from QA. Now this is expected pattern of IPM Indore, right? And you get 240 marks. That means 4 marks का आपका एक question है. -1 negative marking है, but there is no negative marking in the short answer type questions. Number of choices are 4. You get 90 minutes, 30 minutes for this, 30 minutes for this, and 30 minutes for this. So 3 sections, 30 minutes each, right? So multiple choice and short answer type mein you have to type in your answers. Exam pattern, as I explained to you, right? So 20, 30, and 10. 30 minutes each, and then if you clear that, then you are called for a personal interview. This is for IPMAT Indore. And for IIM IPM Rohtak, guys, ये notification आ चुका है. You're going to get 40 questions from each section, QA, LR, and verbal. LR is something जो extra है in this exam. You get 40 minutes in each section, ठीक है. The total questions are 120. You get 120 minutes to answer it. Fine. +4 and -1, that is the marking scheme. Now, if you are a student who's preparing for CUCT, you can join our batch 2 for your preparation. We are giving you live classes, mock tests, sectional tests, practice questions, and this particular course is known as Champions Course for CUCT 2022. If you need to know any more details, आप description box में देख सकते हो, or you can directly call on the numbers given below. Now, what are the commonly asked IIM IPM personal interview questions? Now, these are frequent, but they might not ask you any question from your personal background, right? So sometimes they are going to ask you personal questions. To some students, they do not ask personal questions. Okay? Every student's personal interview experience is different. Why is that? Because they have a way of understanding. Okay, they might just start right away with academic questions. They might want to start with tell me something about yourself. They might not show interest in you. Okay? They might be very interested in you. So they try to create different environment for each and every student, so that you cannot expect कि okay पहले वाले student से ये पूछा आपने questions पूछ लिए that you are going to get the same questions. No, that is not going to happen. So some questions that you can expect in the interview are related to current affairs, right? So you can expect questions on current affairs. So it is very important to keep yourself updated with the daily current affairs, right? So after your exam, it is advised. A lot many students after the exam are like, I'm done. I've given the exam. Now let me wait for my interview. Don't do that. Don't do that. Make sure that you're revising your 11th and 12th ka academic portion, that make sure that you're revising your daily current affairs, because be optimistic. If you have cleared the entrance test, when they are going to give you the interview call, you do not have much time to prepare for personal interview. So after the exam is done, it is advised that you make sure that each and every month's current affairs, whatever important current affairs have happened, whatever static GK is there related to business, related to whatever you are interested in, brush on the key management fundamentals. That is something which is expected from you, right? So sometimes they can ask you questions from current affairs. Sometimes they generally go for the uh, journal awareness, right? That is your science related questions or geography related questions or something like that. So you can expect questions on that. And if you are preparing for NARCI, Symbiosis, Indraprasth University, Christ, St. Xavier's, we have launched our BBA Rankers course today. Batch 2 के लिए you guys can take your free trial. Okay? So in the next 5 days, you're going to get preview classes, right? So if you want to know anything about this course, make sure that you're going into the description box or you are calling the number that is given below, right? Tell me something about yourself. Now, Lakshya, create a brief introduction and practice in front of. Now, when I say brief introduction, as I told you, it depends on student to student. You can take just your acads portion of whatever you have done till now, right? Or you can simply put in, okay, these are my hobbies, this is what my parents do and something like that, right? So you can make sure you do that, and you have to make sure that you're standing in front of the mirror. Okay, try to control your expressions. um, as a person who doesn't like to talk very much, if I'm sitting in front of you and if I'm taking a YouTube video, if I'm making a YouTube video, if I'm taking a session, I want to tell you, this is something that has helped me a lot. When you stand in front of the mirror, stop judging yourself, stop feeling shy about anything, just stand there, try to speak. Okay, you might fumble, you might feel underconfident, you might feel you're not good enough, but keep on practicing. So you might want to write it down and read it while standing in front of mirror, whatever you want to say. Next time, without the paper, you want to practice that, right? So you can do this. There is no 100%, वो बोलते हैं ना कि अच्छा जी ये शॉर्ट तरीका है कि टेल मी समथिंग अबाउट योरसेल्फ को आंसर करने का। IIM में आप जाओगे इंटरव्यू देने के लिए, आपका टेल मी समथिंग अबाउट योरसेल्फ डिफरेंट हो जाएगा। जब आप IIM इंदौर को या रोहतक को लीव करोगे अपना MBA डिग्री लेके, तब वो कुछ और हो जाएगा। सो इट जस्ट is going to reflect upon what you are at that point of view. Right now, you're just a student who wants to get into IIM, who is aspiring to get a degree, okay, from the top notch universities, from the top notch colleges, and you're practicing very hard about it, right? So it is perfectly fine if you make mistakes, okay? So stand in front of mirror, make sure you're practicing it. You can start by mentioning your name. I'm so and so, I belong to this state, and whatever state or whatever city you are from, make sure you know much about it. Like, I'm from a very small town from Punjab, but I can mention like 10 things about it which are very distinct, which are very different, right? And if someone says, okay, that is a very small town, I can tell them there are 10 to 12 places that they have not visited, but they are something out of world heritage, right? So that is my tell me something about yourself. I can say, okay, this is so and so, right? And I belong to this particular place, right? You can say, I come from a place of, if that is a specialization. And if you know much about it, you can give a brief about your parents' occupation, right? My parents are teachers, my father is a businessman, my mother is a homemaker, or my parents are business persons, right? And that is something that you can do. Okay, mention your percentage, okay, in 10th and 12th, right? List your recent achievements. Now your recent achievements could be you winning at any sport event, or you participating at some event, or you trying to participate in some extracurricular activities, whatever at that point of time you have achieved, ठीक है? And about your leadership qualities if you have any. इसका मत ये जो चीज है ना, ये बहुत important नहीं होता है. It's not like कि अच्छा मुझे कुछ करना ही है. So your recent achievements could be anything. You could be a person who loves to go out and feed these stray animals. That is your achievement. It's perfectly fine. If you want to mention that, go mention that. Let them know about your hobbies as well. Again, this is something which is not very important, but if you have a hobby which you're like, you could be a person who loves K-pop, knows everything about K-pop. It's perfectly fine if you want to tell them that, right? You could do that, but you should be able to understand the questions that are going to come after it, right? And then if you're a student who's preparing for IIM, please make sure that you're joining these daily free sessions of Salik sir, okay, daily at 2 p.m. He's going to give you all the important information about current affairs, about journal knowledge. Make sure you're checking that out only on BYJU'S Exam Prep app. Elaborate on your participation in international competition, if any, and what was your stand there. Okay, did you just participate? Did you win something, right? So international or national or state level, whatever your participation is in a particular competition. Okay, you have to explain event or competition. Now there was this competition about coding or chess or badminton, or maybe a drawing competition, maybe you recited something, right? Or depends a lot, okay, whatever the event was. Let them know when and where it was conducted, okay? That shows that you were very attentive about you're detail oriented. Tell the interviewer if you have secured any prize or if you have received any place, okay? Give a brief on what was the competition about and you're learning from that. Okay, so if they ask you elaborate your participation in any competition, you might want to answer this, right? Any recent competitions that you have entered. So if you are someone, imagine I'm like, okay, mere paas to time hi nahi tha. You could say not, it is not very recent. You can say it is not very recent because of pandemic. I did not. Okay, or if it happened online, you might want to tell them that. Or you can say, in my class 10th, I did that, but afterwards there was pandemic and I could not enter into this competition. However, before that, so your recent could be before pandemic as well, right? Hello, Vishal. Hello, so nice to see you here. And guys, if you're preparing for IPM and DUJAT, which you are clearly, right, you can join our Score Booster course for IPM and DUJAT, right? This has been launched. You might want to hurry up क्योंकि रोहतक का notification already out है. Ma'am, is cricket also available in event? Like you are a cricket player? Yes, of course. If you are a cricket player, you participated, of course. You participated, you not visited. No. Okay, if you have visited recently, that is not going to be the event you have participated in. Participation is if you were a player. Okay, then yes. Cricket, badminton, chess, sports events. Okay, then it could be some creative events, that is also perfectly fine. Okay, it could be you going in an NGO, right, doing something. So यहाँ पे I have mentioned an international event. It could be a national event. You could politely say, okay, no, I have not participated in any international event. However, I did participate in a national event or state level event. Okay, so if they ask you a question about it, then only answer. So they can ask you, is there any international event that you participated in? And if you did not, you can say no. right? However, this is the event I participated in. If do not explain your achievement over there. If they say elaborate, how did it go, then you can explain, right? Hello, beta, Radhe Radhe. That is such sweet gestures. Anonymous 007. क्या बात है. Okay, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Now, your strengths could be you could be a very good student. ठीक है? You could be someone who was underachiever and then worked very hard to achieve something. That are your strengths, and your strengths could be you being kind hearted. Your strengths could be you being a quick learner, and if you can present some example of that. Your weaknesses could be do not give my 11th and 12th is weak. How should I, it should be how should I deal with that. Okay, we'll discuss about that, Anonymous. Just allow me a second. So your strengths are, it could be your emotional behavior, it could be you practically solving something. Your strengths could be your subject. Your strengths could be you being a team leader, right? Your weaknesses, you should not say, oh, I get very angry. No, that is not your, you should not be saying that as your weakness, right? You can say, oh, it is my weakness that if I try to learn something, I forget how to take, break. That somehow shows your strength as a part of weakness. Like if once I start learning something, right, it somehow I forget to just allow me a second. I somehow forget to take care of my breaks or whatever. Okay? That could be one of your weakness. So you presenting your weakness, your strength has a weakness, to be very honest, right? Your perseverance is you're very hardworking. You like to learn new things, right? And you forget to take breaks. That is your strength actually, but you're presenting it as your weakness. So that is how you answer this question. Okay, and we have this question. If you have this question that your 11th and 12th is weak. Anonymous, सबसे पहले तो 11th and 12th is weak का मतलब कि आपका बोर्ड्स जो है वो पास में है अभी अप्रैल में. You have your boards, you haven't prepared for it. That is one way to look at your question. The second way is that because your 11th and 12th ka maths is weak, you're not very confident about your QA section at IIM. Is that your question? Please elaborate on that. Okay. So what skills do you hope to develop in college? They can ask you this question. Okay, what do you think you can develop in college? What do you aspire to learn? What are the skills that you aspire to develop in college? Okay. So you can explain something that you have already. Okay. You could be a person who has just started learning coding. You're like, okay, when I join a particular degree, a college, right, I aspire that I'm going to make sure that I learn coding very effectively. You could be a person who wants to learn a certain skill set. So if you're a beginner at that, you can tell them that I'm a beginner at this particular skill set. I'm expecting to take it one notch higher or being an expert in that. Okay, you're already a dropper. You're already a dropper, and you're saying your 11th and 12th is weak. So if you are commenting in an IIM ka interview video, I'm expecting you're talking about quantitative aptitude. So बेटा what you can do is, अभी अगर आप ड्रॉपर हो तो बोर्ड्स तो है नहीं, ठीक है? So do one thing, जो भी आपका 11th और 12th का मैथमेटिक्स है, whatever questions are there, whatever चैप्टर्स आर देयर जो आपको वीक लगते हैं, प्लीज उनको एनसीईआरटी से सॉल्व करो और उसके बाद प्लीज मॉक टेस्ट देना शुरू करो. दैट इज द ओनली वे. ठीक है, इट इज इजियर सेड देन बीइंग डन, बिकॉज इफ यू हैवंट स्टार्टेड ऑलरेडी, आपके पास बहुत कम टाइम है. बिकॉज दीज स्टूडेंट्स जो अभी 12th के एग्जाम देंगे वो ऑलरेडी मैथ्स कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, तो अगर आपने वो ड्रॉप कर दिया है, उसको प्रिपेयर करना स्टार्ट करो. ठीक है, आपको क्यूए सेक्शन और वर्बल की दिक्कत नहीं है, बट दे आस्क यू क्यूए एंड वीए ओनली इन द एंट्रेंस टेस्ट ऑफ आईपीमैट इंदौर। ठीक है, इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट रोहतक, यस वो पूछते हैं, यस अनोनिमस, एब्सोल्युटली, इफ यू आर अ साइंस स्टूडेंट, ठीक है, इफ यू टेल देम ओके माय बैकग्राउंड इज फ्रॉम साइंस, ऑब्वियसली दे नो दैट, ठीक है, आपका सारा इंफॉर्मेशन उनके पास होगा, दे आर गोइंग टू आस्क यू क्वेश्चंस ऑन refrigeration, mechanics, or they can ask you fluid mechanics, they can ask you questions on chemistry, तो प्लीज चैप्टर उठाओ, उनको थोड़ा थोड़ा रिसर्च करो, ठीक है, बाय एनी चांस इफ यू लाइक अ सर्टेन बिजनेसमैन, वो उनके बिजनेस के बारे में भी पूछ सकते हैं, तो फिजिक्स केमिस्ट्री के बारे में अगर बेटा वो पूछेंगे तो यस आपको पूछ सकते हैं, एंड आई कैन से दैट कि बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स जो साइंस बैकग्राउंड के आईएम में सिलेक्ट होते हैं, दे हैव बीन आस्क्ड दीज क्वेश्चंस, ठीक है, हो जाएगी नहीं, वो पूछेंगे तो मेक श्योर यू आर वर्किंग हार्ड फॉर दैट, राइट? सो व्हाट आर यू डूइंग टू इम्प्लीमेंट दोज स्किल्स? यू माइट बी लर्निंग coding, and you might be learning coding through a beginners course online, so you might want to tell them that, ठीक है, you might want to tell them that you're planning to create an app, or you're practicing debugging, you're practicing ethical hacking, whatever valid examples you have to justify the skills, so make sure you do that. And if you have a problem in logical reasoning, we practice logical reasoning questions daily at 4 p.m. So guys, make sure you join it on BYJU'S Exam Prep app, right? If they ask you this question, do you plan to participate in academic activities? Because this has been asked to so many students. Do you plan to participate in academic activities? Okay. So how can you answer this question? You can tell them, okay, how did you participate earlier? Show your interest, okay, whatever academic activities are there. Explain how you can coordinate with other classmates to start a new activity. Okay. They might want to give you an example कि okay, if I give you so and so budget, ठीक है, and I want you to manage this, so you might want to give them an example कि okay, I can help my classmates doing that. You can explain your leadership skills, right? Mention some activity examples that you participated in the past. That is something that you can do, right? In the school you might have helped, you know uh, in doing some academic activities. You might have conducted certain activities for the younger classes or your classmates, or you might have done a activity created by you for the entire class, so you can explain that to them with valid examples, okay? Because do not bluff. If you're bluffing over there, that means देन दे आर गोइंग टू, वो कहते हैं ना, मजे लेना शुरू कर देंगे, तो उनको पता चल जाता है कि ओके, दिस स्टूडेंट इज ब्लफिंग. बी सुपर ऑनेस्ट. इफ यू हैवंट, इफ यू डू नॉट, then you being honest, you can say okay, ठीक है, I haven't now, but in future I'm ready to learn. ठीक है, be polite about it, be humble about it. Don't say कि अच्छा नहीं किया तो नहीं किया तो क्या कर लोगे. Not obviously you're not going to say this, right? So you can say okay, I haven't done this, but in future, ठीक है, बट इन फ्यूचर आई एक्सपेक्ट टू डू दिस. मैम मैं जर्नली आईपीएम में स्टार्टअप के लिए जा रहा हूँ. एनोनिमस, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट मुश्किल होगा, बट यू हैव ऑलरेडी कंप्लीटेड योर 11th एंड 12th ना, ठीक है, यू हैव ऑलरेडी कंप्लीटेड योर 11th एंड 12th, यू आर रिवाइजिंग, ठीक है. तो अगर आप फिजिक्स ओपन कर रहे हो, अगर आपको कंडक्टर के बारे में पढ़ना है, कंडक्टर कहाँ कहाँ पे यूज हो सकता है, तो स्टार्टअप के बारे में अगर आप कर रहे हो, सबसे पहले तो व्हाट इज योर प्लान, यू शुड बी एबल टू आंसर दोज क्वेश्चंस, ठीक है. तो ज्यादा नहीं होगा, ऑनेस्टली ज्यादा नहीं होगा. आपका 11th विद इन 1 वीक फिनिश हो सकता है फिजिक्स का, ठीक है, एंड आपका 12th विद इन 1 वीक फिनिश हो सकता है, क्योंकि यू आर जस्ट मेकिंग श्योर कि आप गो थ्रू हो रहे हो. यू हैव ऑलरेडी लर्नड इट, भूल तो नहीं गए होगे, ऐसा तो हो नहीं सकता. मतलब अगर आप 11th एंड 12th भूल चुके हो तो फिर तो मतलब आपने पढ़ा नहीं है, ठीक है. सो व्हाट यू कैन डू इज ओपन द इंडेक्स, देखो कि कौन कौन से चैप्टर्स आपको आते हैं, रैंडम उसके ऊपर रिसर्च करने की कोशिश करो, क्वेश्चंस देखने की कोशिश करो, ठीक है। यू कैन ऑल्सो सर्च के ओके फिजिक्स के कौन से चैप्टर्स में से क्वेश्चन पूछे जा सकते हैं। समटाइम्स दे आस्क यू क्वेश्चंस व्हिच आर ऑफ वेरी 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 हाई लेवल। सो रिसेंटली आई इंटरव्यूड अ स्टूडेंट हु इज करंटली एट IIM Indore, right? And he said very beautiful thing. He said, "Ma'am, they asked me a question about fluid mechanics. We do not learn fluid mechanics in 11th and 12th, right? We do not." So he very politely said that he did not know. Okay, he tried to answer that question, but he could not, and still he's there at IPMAT Indore, IIM Indore, right? Still he could clear and secure a seat over there. So it is not something what you know. It is something, okay, if you are from this background, you should have some basic knowledge of that, right? मैडम पढ़ाई नहीं करी तो अभी करो भाई, अभी करना ही पड़ेगा, इससे भाग नहीं सकते हो। वो स्टूडेंट्स जो मुझसे पूछते हैं ना कि मैडम अच्छा 4 चैप्टर बता दो इनमें से क्वेश्चंस, मैं नहीं बता सकती, क्योंकि ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता कि कोई भी टीचर तुम्हें बोले कि अच्छा बेटा तू ये 4 चैप्टर कर ले या 2 चैप्टर कर ले या 10 में से 5 कर ले या 8 कर ले। We cannot say anything about it because if they ask you any question that solely depends on whatever they, वो आपके पोटेंशियल के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है। नाउ आई विल बी डिस्क्राइबिंग दिस एक इस तरीके से कि वो जो पोटेंशियल आपसे देख रहे हैं, if they are asking you very difficult questions, that means they are expecting much out of you. If they are asking you very silly and easy questions, ठीक है, and they're showing very good interest in you, that means somehow they do not expect that you can show much enthusiasm. This has happened. So do not expect easy questions. Do not expect that you can answer each and every question. It is perfectly fine if you're not able to answer some questions. ठीक है, वन शॉट वीडियोस फाइन होगा, ट्राई तो करो, ट्राई तो करो, यस यस, ट्राई करो, हर चैप्टर को एक बार ही रिवाइज करने की कोशिश करो, अभी तो बहुत टाइम पड़ा है, ठीक है, आपके तो बोर्ड्स भी नहीं है, वो लोग ये बाकी बच्चे तो 12th वाले बोर्ड्स के लिए भी प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं। अच्छा, दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन, व्हाई डिड यू चूज IPMAT? ठीक है, why do you want to come to IIM and do IPMAT for your career, as your career? ठीक है, so जैसे you just gave me an answer that you want to learn how to startup, है ना, आप अपने startup के लिए जा रहे हो। You could be a person who can say, okay, my father is already a businessman, I want to make sure that I take his business one step ahead. You could be a person who just is there to understand, okay, what are your choices, ठीक है, as a person. Do you want to get a good salary का package, ठीक है, do you want to start your own business? So you can take the positive influences. You might have heard of some stories. You can say, okay, my school alumni, okay, there was this student in my school, he got selected in IPMAT, I had a word with him, I understood that IIMs give you this much positive insight. So that is something जो आप उनको explain कर सकते हो. Mention about the relevant skills. Like you just mentioned, you said startup के लिए जा रहा हूँ. That means they're going to teach you how to handle things, how to manage things, how to think differently, how to think out of the box. You can tell them about that. Stress your interest in choosing IIM, ठीक है, so you can tell them, okay, when I was in class 10th, my teachers, I wanted to learn more about what are the career choices that I can have, and I stumbled upon this particular course at IIM, right, and I realized that I wanted to go for it, and you can explain the entire reason behind that. Be completely positive while answering this question. Do not say that if I get selected in IPMAT, for IPMAT, right? Do not say that. So stay positive. You're like, this is why I'm choosing. Okay. So right now they are expecting you that, okay, why is this your choice? So the ball is in your court right now. So you cannot say, okay, नहीं तो बोल भी दोगे तो ऐसा कुछ बहुत नेगेटिव नहीं जाता है, बट पॉजिटिव रहने का मतलब ये होता है कि डू नॉट से कि ओके ये नहीं तो कुछ और सही, और नहीं तो कुछ और सही, अपना जो रीजन है उसको पॉजिटिवली प्रेजेंट करो, राइट। एंड एक्सपेक्टेड क्वेश्चंस दैट कैन बी आस्क्ड इन दिस ईयर्स इंटरव्यू, ठीक है। The questions are centered around your introduction, but honestly, in some cases, they do not start with the introduction. They start with okay, hello, have a seat, okay, and then um, they just go about your academic questions or whatever your interests are there, so they do not ask you about tell me something about yourself. That can happen. So tab ye stress mat lena ki inhone meri introduction to li nahi, they know these things, right? Okay, so firstly the questions that are centered around your introduction, ठीक है, तो वो चीज हो सकती है if they have asked you to introduce yourself. The second part will consist of the questions from your respective stream, ठीक है, just like anonymous said कि हम physics chemistry से questions पूछ सकते हैं. Yes, I'll tell you a reason behind it. When you go to an IIM, तो आपको सिर्फ मैनेजमेंट पढ़ने को नहीं मिलेगा, आपको बहुत सारी चीजें सिखाई जाएंगी. आपको सिखाया जाएगा बेसिक फिजिक्स के बारे में, आपको सिखाया जाएगा कोडिंग के बारे में, आपको बेसिक केमिस्ट्री सिखाया जाएगा. सो दे आर ट्राइंग टू शो यू ईच एंड एवरी पाथ. क्योंकि अगर आप एमबीए करते आईआईएम से आफ्टर योर डिग्री, आपको क्या मिलते वहां पे, इंजीनियरिंग के स्टूडेंट्स भी मिलते, आपको वहां पे बीबीए के स्टूडेंट्स भी मिलते, बीकॉम करे हुए स्टूडेंट्स भी मिलते, बहुत सारी जगह से वो स्टूडेंट्स आए होते हैं. कुछ लोग अपनी जॉब्स के बाद एमबीए करते हैं. सो ऑल दिस इज ऑलरेडी हैपनिंग ओवर देयर इन एमबीए. So if they are teaching you this 5 year integrated program के अंदर, तो वो सिर्फ बेसिक मैनेजमेंट चीजें नहीं दिखाएंगे. There is this specially curated सब्जेक्ट्स एंड सेक्शंस एंड पूरे का पूरा आपका करिकुलम बहुत ध्यान से स्ट्रक्चर्ड होता है, सो दैट आपको आइडिया हो हर फील्ड के बारे में. कि अगर आप किसी भी फील्ड में जाते हो, इवन इवन यू वांट टू स्टार्ट अ बिजनेस इन एनी फील्ड, और यू माइट वांट टू गो एंड गेट जॉब इन एनी फील्ड, सो यू माइट बी एबल टू डू दैट. तो वो चीजों के बारे में बहुत ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस पूछे जा सकते हैं जो आप ऑलरेडी सीख के आए हो इन योर रिस्पेक्टिव स्ट्रीम, राइट. द थर्ड पार्ट ऑफ इंटरव्यू will have questions from GK. Now when I say will have, it might have, ठीक है. सो दे कैन आस्क यू कि ओके आप कहाँ से आए हो, ओके ठीक है, आप प्रोबेबली आए हो, जैसे आपका इंटरव्यू है दिल्ली में और आप पंजाब से गए हो. इमेजिन, नाउ दिस इज जस्ट अ सिनेरियो. दे कैन आस्क यू कि अच्छा आप कैसे आए हो, बाय एयर और बाय ट्रेन. सो यू कैन से ओके बाय ट्रेन. सो कितने स्टेशन थे रास्ते में, ठीक है. सो व्हाट वर द मेजर स्टेशंस. So they can ask you questions like that. Or sometimes you are going in a building, they can ask you okay whether you were able to answer these questions like how many stairs were there, right. When you reach this particular building, तो क्या क्या चीजें आपको नोटिस करी आपने इस बिल्डिंग के अंदर. These things can also be asked, ठीक है. तो ये सारी की सारी चीजें भी पूछी जा सकती हैं. आपका फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट पूछा जा सकता है. जब आप फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट बताते हैं, आपको भी पता है कि आपको उसमें से क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाएंगे. When you say this is my favorite subject, please make sure that you're well versed about it, right. So it's perfectly fine if you still cannot answer questions about it. You can say okay मेरा favorite subject physics है. अब अगर fluid mechanics पूछ लेंगे तो तुमने पढ़ा थोड़ी ना है, ठीक है. तो you can try to answer those questions, but ये वही चीज है कि अगर आप कोई चीज बोलते हो कि ये मेरी फेवरेट है, दे माइट आस्क यू क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम दैट. दे माइट नॉट, बट चांसेस हैं कि वो आपसे क्वेश्चंस पूछेंगे. इफ यू मूव फ्रॉम कन्याकुमारी टू श्रीनगर, विच आर द स्टेट्स यू विल पास थ्रू, ज्योग्राफी, ठीक है. व्हाट इज लीडरशिप अकॉर्डिंग टू यू? इट कुड बी टेकिंग योर टीम टुगेदर, इट कुड बी लीडिंग देम विद एग्जाम्पल, इट कुड बी मेकिंग गुड चॉइसेस, इट कुड बी making sure that everyone is safe. It depends a lot on your perspective, and be genuine about it. Do not try to impress them, ठीक है, when they ask you questions like these, ठीक है. Be genuine about whatever you think leadership is. Just give them genuine answers. Explain the importance of an organization, some organization, ठीक है. आरबीआई के बारे में पूछ लिया, ऑयल इंडिया के बारे में पूछ लिया, एनीथिंग लाइक दैट दे कैन आस्क यू। व्हेन यू सिट इन अ कार, व्हाट आर द फोर्सेस दैट आर एक्टिंग? तो जब आप बैठ रहे हो कार के अंदर, कौन कौन सी फोर्सेस एक्ट हो रही हैं? सो इफ यू आर फ्रॉम अ साइंस स्ट्रीम, मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया लग रहा है, क्या क्या चीजें हो रही हैं, ठीक है, वो सारा कुछ आपको एक्सप्लेन करना है। टॉर्क लग रहा है, या आपकी काइनेटिक एनर्जी लग रही है, पोटेंशियल एनर्जी लग रही है, वट एवर। सो करंट इलेक्शन डिटेल्स यू शुड लर्न, ठीक है। करंट इलेक्शन मतलब राइट नाउ इलेक्शंस में कौन कौन कहाँ कहाँ से अगर कोई जीता है, बाय द टाइम आपका इंटरव्यू होगा इलेक्शंस हो चुके होंगे, तो जो भी पर्सन जीता है वो कौन कौन सी जगह से ऑलरेडी इलेक्टेड था, तो वो बेसिक चीजें आपको पता होनी चाहिए, राइट। एंड बाय द वे, Alpa ma'am is giving you special free classes at 12:30 p.m. only on BYJU'S Exam Prep app for critical reasoning, grammar, and reading comprehension. Guys, make sure you join this, because if you are preparing for IPM, this is something which is going to create a lot प्रॉब्लम्स, एंड एज वेल एज आपका रैंक जो है वो बहुत ऊपर जा सकता है अगर आपका इंग्लिश जो है वो स्ट्रांग है। एंड अंकुर तोमर सर गिव्स यू स्पेशल फ्री सेशंस फॉर क्वांटिटेटिव एबिलिटी एट बायजूस एग्जाम प्रेप ऐप 11 AM पे। सो 11 AM अंकुर तोमर सर, 12:30 अल्पा मैम फॉर वर्बल एबिलिटी, राइट। सालिक सर गिव्स यू 2 PM के ऊपर जर्नल अवेयरनेस के सेशंस, 4 PM आई गिव यू लॉजिकल रीजनिंग के स्पेशल फ्री सेशंस। So feel free to join them, right? I, Rabia ma'am, Salik sir, Vinod sir, Ankur Toma sir, these are going to help you to reach your dream college if you join us, if you choose us to help you to reach your dream college, right? And if you are yet to download BYJU'S Exam Prep app, do it, right? And if you liked today's session, please hit that like button, do subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell icon. And if you have any other queries, feel free to ask me right now. Let's answer your queries. What do you think? Like, is there anything that I missed out on? So I gave you an idea of what are the questions that can be asked and how you can answer them. But if you have any other questions, feel free to ask that. Any questions regarding interview at IPMAT? Oh, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. ओके, चलो फिर लेट्स कॉल इट अ डे अभी, ठीक है। कल मिलते हैं इन अनदर सेशन ऑन यूट्यूब, ऑन बायजूस एग्जाम प्रेप ऐप। तो प्लीज स्टे सेफ, हैव अ वेरी गुड नाइट, बाय एवरीवन, टेक केयर।